Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the British Tier 10 heavy tank, the Super Conqueror. Now this is the only one out of the three British Tier 10 heavies to not get buffed. And that's because they've really brought the FV215B and the Chieftain up to this tank's level. The Chieftain more so than the FV215B. I still think the FV215B needs basically the side armour profile of the Super Conqueror so that it can actually side scrape. And then it would be at the level of this tank. And the Chieftain is just sort of the more mobile, less armoured on the hull version of this tank, pretty much. Because that's the only thing that lets this tank down, and that's its mobility. Because it's fairly sluggishly slow at 34 kilometers an hour. And obviously you can help that with a powertrain or with the traction system. I don't run either because I just maximise the DPM as much as possible on this tank by running vents, because I run rammer, vents and optics. Best view range possible, best DPM possible with the rammer and the vents. That's just the way I like to run it. Like I say, you can run it in different ways. But what do I run in terms of a crew on this tank? Well, on this tank I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Track Mechanic, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Situational Awareness, Firefighting and Off-Road Driving. Now I run Off-Road Driving to help the terrain resistances, to make the mobility of the tank just that little bit better. It helps it get up to speed a little bit quicker. You do feel that little bit of a difference by running that perk. And I run Firefighting because, well, this is a perk that you can swap out for stuff like Rapid Aim and other, or like General Mechanic or Snapshot or whatever you want, really. But I run it because I seem to get set on fire quite a lot in this tank and it's a little bit irritating. So I just try and put it out as quick as possible. But the Super Conqueror has always been a fantastic tank. Now, I'm not a big fan of it, to be perfectly honest, because it's just a bit boring. And that's because it is on the slower end, and its strength is literally get to a ridge line, and then you just sit there and nothing can be done about you. Yeah, and that is the Super Conqueror, pretty much. Because once you get to that ridge line, you literally you're laughing. Most of the time, pretty much all the time, actually. Nobody can do anything about you. And you're just the immovable object. Add to that you are also an absolute god at side scraping. Like, this tank is absolutely fantastic at it. And even in a heavy brawling town, obviously your lower plate's garbage, that's your weak spot. But everything else is fantastic. And, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're on a hilly terrain or whatever, you can use the 10 degrees gun depression, get hull down, laugh. Or you're in a street brawl like Himmelsdorf, you can just go side scrape your arse off and block all the shots and get loads of damage off with your great DPM, pretty much. Whereas the Chieftain struggles a little bit more in a situation on like Himmelsdorf, for example, where you have to get into brawling because it can't side scrape it that well compared to the Super Conqueror. But obviously it has the ability to get around more, so you flank more. Trade-offs. So yeah, the Super Conqueror is like a top level tank, and they've brought the other two up to it. So in this game on Himmelsdorf, we have managed to brawl our little heart out. We've managed to flank down the 2 line. We've got 3.8k damage. We've won the bottom of the area of Himmelsdorf. They've won the hill. And currently we're on the same amount. But the thing is they've won the hill, right? But we control the whole lower end of this map. So if we really wanted to, we could just cap out and win. And there's nothing they could do about it. But obviously we don't want to do that. We want to try and fight and brawl and get as good a result as possible, because that's more fun. And we're going to try and get up on top of this hill, or try and get up on this little slope here to try and find any of their tanks that might be coming down and charging towards their base. So it's me and the C-57 Heavy here, and it's like, okay, there's 2 tanks. What are they? Tiger 2? Oh, and a Waffle. Nice. Well, we want to get shots into the Waffle. We want to try and hurt that guy as much as possible, because we don't want that. And then we've got this poor little Tiger 2 who still hasn't been buffed yet. Hopefully that line will get touched soon. And he is incredibly easy to just take out. And then here's his bigger brother, the E100. It's like, oh, hello E100, I'll just side scrape out. Unfortunately, he ends up penning us. I think he penned our engine deck. We're at a really awkward angle here, which means he can pen us relatively easily. And we're just quite easily going through this E100's lower plate, and now we're just side scraping off of this little building here. We're trying to make sure that this guy can't pen us, and we just go through his lower plate every time. The Jagdpanzer shuts him down, and now there's only 4 tanks left on their team, and they're all on the bottom of the map. They've all come down off the hill, rushed in, and we've got to go get them. There was no sense in trying to climb up the hill to see if we could find the waffle, because by the time we've done that, these heavy tanks could have killed everything that's on the bottom, and we don't want that. But this is where the Super Conqueror sort of just lacks that little bit more than the Chieftain, because obviously, like I say, the Chieftain could get to these guys on the bottom a lot quicker than this could. We sort of just got to trundle and hope that they don't get finished off. But currently we're capping, so we are actually going to win. I'm just hoping I can get the shot in to finish this 50 TP off, which we do, and we do cap it out. And we finished that game with a nice total for the Super Conqueror. It was a nice little brawl. It showed what it can do, even on games where it's a little bit quicker because the DPM's nice. It's great. So we finished with 5 kills, 6.6k damage, ace tanker, high caliber, 1661 base, 1100 assists with 5 kills. So close to a top gun. But yeah, I mean, this used to have only slightly less DPM than the Chieftain. Now, obviously, the FV215B comes above it in terms of DPM because they buffed that recently as well. And that just gives those tanks that little bit extra over it. But like this tank is just, it's still king of going hull down, because the Chieftain, obviously, they did buff the cupolas to try and help it, and they buffed the top of the turret as well to try and stop that little. There was a little spot where you could pen it if tanks were firing high pen heat. They did buff the cupola, but the cupola is still pennable. I've still penned it quite a lot when I'm firing against it, and it can let the Chieftain down a fair bit, whereas this, when it's hull down, is just impenetrable. It's just game over. Unless you're in something like a Type 5 or a Sturm Tiger or an FV4005, and you're firing the HEs, it's just going to sit there and laugh at you all the time. And the Chieftain can't quite do that, but the Chieftain gets into position better, as it's got better shell velocity, better pen on its standard by a little bit, trade-offs, like I say, and the buffs they're given to the Chieftain make it just on par with this, near enough now. The FV215B obviously can't really do hull down all that well. While its turret is decent, it's only got 5 degrees of gun depression, and it's a back-mounted turret, so it does struggle a little bit on those inclines, which is a bit of a problem. So on this game, on Malinovka, one of the maps that's come back very, very, very recently, we are going to try and contest the cap. So we've come up into this middle area, we get a nice shot into the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen, and now this 268 version 5 looks like he's trying to come after us, and it's like, okay, no, we're not doing that. We don't want to take that hit. We managed to shut down the Panzerwagen, and now the 268 version 5 is distracted with everyone else. Get a shot in to track him in place, and now he's fired. I know I can get another one in before he'll get to fire again. He gets shut down by the Sheridan, and now we're going after the T95E6. So we're trying, I was looking to hopefully get a tracking shot into that T95E6. He turns around and snaps a shot straight in, because why not? We go for the shot on the back of his turret, and I have no idea where that shot went. It looked like it was going to be perfectly going into the back of his turret, but no idea where that went. Oh well, we're going to carry on. We couldn't quite get the shot into the Bulldog there. There's a T26E5 over there, which is the unskinned Patriot. There's a Tortoise in front of us. So we're just going to basically rush past this Tortoise and go for this T95, T26E5. We get a nice shot into the back of the Tortoise there, and then we get a shot from the side. It's the Bulldog. We noticed there's actually an Emil 1 chilling out over there, so we get a nice shot into him on the move. Like I say, this tank is absolutely fantastic in terms of its gun. Same as all the British heavies now. And, well, I say now, or they've always been great. In the fact that you can just keep firing. You just keep firing even when you're on the move, and most likely you're going to pretty much hit every time. It's great. So we're coming on this T26E5. I know that I can bully this guy because I reload in near and, well, actually no, since he's been buffed, he can reload faster than I can. But thing is, I reload like a second slower than him and have 400 alpha, whereas he's got 240, so we can wreck that guy quite easily. And I knew I could just go in on that guy and absolutely wreck him and then come out unscathed. So we go for the shot on the AMX-13105, and unfortunately, he gets trapped just as we fire. I hate that kind of coincidence when it's like that. It's always really annoying because it's like, oh yes, I've led it perfectly, and someone tracks him and he just swings around and avoids the shell. You're like, God damn it. We're coming after the Sturm Tiger P now. We get a shot, unfortunately, that bounces off his superstructure. A little bit unfortunate. I didn't want to take the big hit because obviously that Sturm Tiger P does hit really hard. It hits like a sledgehammer if it does. But we get a nice shot into his lower plate. And now we're just going to move up on top of this ridgeline, because on top of this ridgeline, we are going to be kings of the ridgeline, and we're going to be able to get some nice shots into these guys that are trying to come back and reset the cap. So we're getting some shots into this chieftain. I want to get rid of this guy because I'm hoping that he doesn't start focusing on me to come and get shots into me. We track him in place, which is nice. We boost our reload with food. We tried to retrack him there. Unfortunately, we shot a little bit too late and ended up hitting his upper plate. And we're just going to get a shot just into the back of him there, which breaks his engine. Now there's this E3, and I kind of want to get rid of this E3 because obviously it's an E3. It's a heavily armoured target. I don't really care as much about the chieftain shooting me because the E3 is going to be, if he kills my friend and then turns around to face us, he is going to be a pain in the back to be able to kill. So we get rid of that guy, and now there's only one tank left. It is the Chieftain Mark 6. And we're going to go in on this guy and hopefully get some more shots into him. We get one in. Can we get the ram? Oh, unfortunately not. The King Dragon manages to finish him off. But we still finish with a really, really great tally for the Super Conqueror. It's an absolutely fantastic tank. We finished with the victory, the 3 kills, 7.8k damage, 871 assistance. Like I say, this is still a great tank. Is it the best of the 3 tier 10 British heavies now? Well, I'll leave that all to you guys to decide. It's up to you guys, really. It depends on your preferences. Like, I prefer the Chieftain. I always have, but that's because I find the Super Conqueror just a fairly boring tank. So, as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!